This is literally the definition of a failure. The business has failed. So Edge shut down a year and a half ago or so. And when it shut down, like, I lost everything. This is the most uncomfortable ice bath of all, having to deal with the wind down and losing millions of dollars and losing investor money.
What is a cosmic breadcrumb?
Is Edge theory a failure
Right.
or breadcrumb? Like, where are you sitting with this process?
There was a moment where I was seeing it as a failure. There's not really much else we can do besides our last swing for the fences that, based on the timing, was going on Shark Tank. If we get a deal, we live to fight another day. If we don't, this is probably the end. This book is the answer to the question of how did we grow so quickly and how did we get with all of the top celebrities and influencers and athletes and teams. It is not for the faint of heart or the weak of stomach.
Welcome to the Well Worship Man podcast, where men come to build unshakable presence, become the rock in their relationships, and build a legacy that lasts beyond their years. Here, we explore the path to mature masculinity through humble power, daily devotion, and unwavering integrity.
Thanks, baby. Today on the show, we're super excited to be talking to Joshua Dean Church. Joshua Church is the co-founder of ARC Partners, an AI implementation team for founder-led businesses. Before that, he co-founded Edge Theory Labs, taking a garage prototype to over $20 million in under 3 years, earning Forbes 30 Under 30 and EY Entrepreneur of the Year finalist recognition along the way. He's also a published author of Cosmic Breadcrumbs, host of the Find the Others podcast, and a certified Wim Hof instructor leading retreats around the world. His whole thing? Helping founders win the inside game and the outside game. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you. I feel very blessed to be here with you too.
Yeah. And we've got your book here.
Yeah, let's go.
You're generous enough to bring us a copy.
I got to make sure I sign it too before I leave.
Sign it for us, definitely. We're excited to dig into this. And that gets us started is, Josh, what is a cosmic breadcrumb?
Cosmic breadcrumb for me is this idea that God, source, the universe is leaving us clues. We're leaving ourselves clues alongside source, in my opinion, but it's that we're not alone in our journey, and everywhere we want to go, we're being supported in that process, even if we can't really see it. So the cosmic breadcrumbs, when I think about my path, and this concept really came to me as I was building Edge Theory Labs and really as I was winding down, but looking back and seeing everything with perfect clarity, obviously, because hindsight's 2020, I was able to see, oh, wow, that little breadcrumb connected me to that breadcrumb, led me to that one, led me to that one. Like, I could see this kind of divine tapestry of how we built the company that we did. And really, and this book is the answer to the question of why did I start a cold tub company, and how did we grow so quickly, and how did we get with all of the top celebrities and influencers and athletes and teams? Like, how did we do that? And the answer was like, it was kind of one big accident waiting to happen. And the answer was, I didn't plan all that. I never could have. It just happened one breadcrumb at a time. And for me, building a partnership with the universe and with God. And that's what led me. So cosmic breadcrumb are those synchronicities. It's those detours and plot twists and heartaches. It's those moments that lead you to the next step in your journey as a cosmic breadcrumb.
What does it feel like when you notice a breadcrumb in real time?
That's the whole game, right? Is noticing. And noticing a breadcrumb in real time it's funny, literally just on the way over here, I was talking to one of my best friends, Chad, on the phone. And it's very important to have other people who are also on, like, picking up the breadcrumbs too, because sometimes it can be right in front of your face and you don't see it, and you need someone else. Or even when this stuff is simple, right, but not easy. It's like so simple but not easy. And so I was talking with Chad on the way over here, and we were like talking about, they were like, oh, this thing could be good or could be bad. Plot twist, it's gonna be good, right? Like, plot twist, it's a breadcrumb here for us, and even though we might not see exactly how it's going to serve us in the future, I have this faith that it will. Right. And so what does it feel like to notice a breadcrumb in real time? It feels divine. It feels incredible to know that this is leading towards something. I might not see it fully, but I know this is leading me towards something. And all I got to focus is on the next step, the next indicated step. I think a lot of us, especially entrepreneurs, we can overcomplicate things. We try to see the whole picture and like, how am I going to possibly get there? Don't worry about that. I delegate that heavy lifting to God. That's not mine to figure out. Just the same way I don't have to think about breathing or forget how to digest my food. Like, that's delegated. I don't worry about that. So like, I don't need to worry about this big picture. I just got to focus on the next indicated step in front of me, picking up the next breadcrumb, picking up the next one and the next one. And I know that I will be led exactly to where I want to be because I have all the evidence to show that.
Yeah. And the path reveals as we walk it.
Sure does.
Right? And you started off that answer. You said the whole game is noticing.
Mm.
And so we all have these breadcrumbs, these signposts that help us become more aligned with the path that I believe is divinely willed.
Mm.
And some people are better than others at noticing
Mm-hmm.
those breadcrumbs and responding to them. So what are the skills that we need to build to be able to notice those breadcrumbs when we're moving by them?
Yeah, I love that question. And it's very deeply, like, a lot of this conversation can feel very spiritual, which it is, but it's also deeply rooted in psychology and in science. So I like to look at it that approach as well for our logical friends out there. They're like, what does this mean? Because noticing is the game, and noticing is a practice. We get better at noticing, and we practice noticing, and the more that we notice, the more that we notice. And I believe reality is a reflection of our strongest beliefs and what we are noticing. And so, are you guys familiar with the reticular activating system?
Mhm.
Okay, you guys are familiar with it. For listeners, it might not be. A reticular activating system is a part of our brain. It's like a filtering mechanism, right? Because at every given moment, there's billions of bits of information that are vying for our attention. And so our reticular activating system is the thing that is filtering through. I think of it like like your algorithm, like Facebook, the edge rank algorithm for at any moment, there's billions of pieces of content that are vying for your newsfeed. And so there has to be some sort of filtering mechanism that filters out. Fun story, in Facebook, they actually like de-incentivize any cat photos because there's so many cat photos on the internet. So part of the edge rank algorithm is like cat photos get deranked, like ranked lower. So our brain, so the reticular activating system is doing the same way, and it's programmable. And it's either we're programming it or the outside world, media, pop culture is programming it for us. And so programming our reticular activating system is one of the most empowering things that we can do. Is like, what are we looking for? What are we noticing? And so the first thing, in order to be on this journey and to, if you want to get better at noticing these cosmic breadcrumbs, is building a daily practice with it. And it can be simple as a journal practice. I love the 5-minute journal is a great place to start if someone is completely starting from blank without any self-reflective process, but of just noticing, like, when, even just doing this one-time exercise, when did something happen to me that I thought was like bad, but actually led to something good? Or what was a coincidence that led to something? Or how did something seemingly innocuous, like, and harmless lead to something beautiful? And just allowing your brain to do, okay, let me think about that. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, there was this one time, this happened. Wow, amazing. Great. And now if every day you can just be like, a great question I love asking myself is, what was a miracle that happened for me today? Where was a miracle that happened to me in my life today? It's abundant. And if I can train myself and train my reticular activating system to find that miracle, then I see it. And then guess what? I'm now looking subconsciously. I'm looking for the miracles. So I'm going through my day and I'm looking and I'm finding the miracles, because we're going to find what we look for. Mm-hmm. That's the game. It's a practice.
Yeah, it is very much a training. Like that question for an unpracticed person, the question of, what was a miracle that happened in my life today? They might say, I have no idea. Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's very many miracles in my life at all. But I had an experience with this. I started asking myself the question of, what did life have to teach me today?
That's a great
And when I started doing it, it was kind of difficult. And then I had to search and what. But the more and more that I did it, it became easy to say, what did life teach me today? And actually, life taught me a few things today. And so I love this offering that it is trainable.
Yes. And I love that question. That's a great reflective question to ask, to build that. It's a muscle, right? It's like we're all lifting like with baby 2.5 pound weights and we're like, this is hard. My muscles are sore. It's like, yeah, it's going to get stronger. Don't worry. And there's in Hebrew, emunah is the word for faith. And it also translates closely to the word for training too, which I think is very interesting. That faith, how can faith be training as well? And how can we train our faith? How can that be a muscle, which I find interesting. So it is all trainable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I always ask my clients, and actually I started doing it with everyone, but like, what's going well today?
Nice.
And it's impossible, same thing, to answer initially. And I had a client one time come to a session and he was like, okay, this is the answer. I like refuse to show up to another session and not know, like, have an answer for you, but it gets so much easier. And part of it is the pause, it's like, you need the reflection time. You need the space between when people are moving so quickly, or when anyone has like a really long to-do list or they're really stressed. It's like, there's no spaciousness for beauty You know,
Mhm.
math and beauty are not the same parts of the brain. You
Mhm.
must take a break from like the
Yep.
to-do list to be able to even have the space to notice like a bird chirping or
Right.
notice a miracle. And when you were talking about following the breadcrumbs, there's kind of two ways that it happens, right? There's like a breadcrumb that feels good and you're like,
Mm.
wow, I'm so open. I'm going to go in this direction. This is nice. Or there is rejection
Mhm.
in some way
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and understanding that like actually things being removed is also for you in some capacity.
Mhm.
So I'd love for you to share a little bit about something that you're looking for, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to share with you a passage in this introduction that is exactly what you said, because it's a very important part about this.
Cool.
It's clear to scientists, skeptics, and believers alike that there is an intelligent creative force present. Call it God, the universe, source, spirit, science, life. It's the same force that governs gravity and pulls the tides. The force that fuels the burning stars and has programmed the miracle of photosynthesis within the plant kingdom. It's the force that keeps us breathing without effort, even while we sleep, and turns the caterpillar into a butterfly. We can all agree that this force is present and abundant. So what if maybe, just maybe, that same creative, intelligent force is available to you as well? To follow the cosmic breadcrumbs is to build a partnership with that force in a co-creative relationship. It's about daring to believe that this force is actually on your side, that it is quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, conspiring on your behalf, dropping clues and signs to help you remember who you are, that it's guiding you toward what you truly desire on the path of least resistance. Following the cosmic breadcrumbs is about recognizing that this force is always speaking to you through a quiet whisper of your intuition, leaving one breadcrumb at a time, revealing your next step. Each breadcrumb along the way is sacred, not just the glittering ones wrapped in ease and beauty, but the messy, painful ones too. The ones that arrive disguised as lumps of coal, the losses, the heartbreaks, the moments that bring you to your knees. Choosing to follow the cosmic breadcrumbs means sitting with these two and honoring them as the teachers that they are, trusting they're part of the process, staying with them long enough through the pressure and heat to witness the transformation they bring, to watch life's creative force turn even the darkest breadcrumb into something luminous, into the diamond it was always meant to become.
You know, I'm even more excited to read this book now because I hear how you write.
Yeah.
And I was just sharing with her, this is the first time in a long time that I'm not reading a book. Usually I have like 2 or 3 with bookmarks and I don't have one. So this is going to be it.
There you go.
And I love the analogy of the breadcrumbs disguised as lumps of coal, and the actual challenge being to sit with it long enough for it to be smelted in the fire to emerge as something beautiful or valuable. And that's another skill I think that's required on this journey is the ability to hold discomfort without pressing the eject button. I just got to get out of here. There's nothing for me here. I'd rather go do something else. I'd rather go back to my old job or back to my old relationship. And so I'm curious on your journey, where have you had to hold the discomfort of the lumps of coal without knowing if it was going to change into something valuable?
Beautiful question. I think what you described there is perhaps one of the greatest skill sets and muscles that we can build as human beings, especially in this modern world that we live, is how can we sit in and hold the discomfort when we're biologically programmed for comfort, and when comfort is so readily accessible and available with the dopamine hits that we get from everything around us in our pockets nonstop. And this is why the cold, to me, has been one of my greatest teachers, and why I ended up starting a cold tub company, because for me, it was the first moment where it taught me how to sit in the discomfort, because it's trainable. And when I approach the cold with that mentality as a training ground, I notice, okay, I can breathe through this. Okay, everything in me wants to get up and run and get out of this, and I can, but I'm going to choose to take a deep breath, and I'm going to shift from trying to brace myself through this and run to how can I embrace? Okay, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to breathe through that. And what happens as soon as I make that shift? Guess what? The cold dissolves. It relaxes, and I relax into it. And that has been the translation from that across my life to not only how the cold helped heal, and you'll read in my journey as well, physical pain and trauma and injuries and chronic pain that I was living in, not only from the physical symptoms, but from the deeper emotional psychological and spiritual symptoms of any time, of how I deal with stress, how we deal with stress, and how I learned how to not hit the eject button or go numb out or go tap out real quick when something's uncomfortable. It's very easy to hit that numb out, tap out button or go back to comfort. Like you said, the relationship, the pattern, the job, whatever it is. But the cold for me was a training ground and a teacher to teach me, hey, you can sit with this and you can be present in this, and you can watch how you can shift through that without having to require anything from anyone else. It's not about them, it's about you in this situation. So I know that doesn't really answer your question, but that's what came through for me around why the cold was so important to me and how our breath is so important. We started this with breath work as well, because our breath is the connective tissue to our nervous system, and our breath can steer our state of being, and being able to sit in the discomfort is everything. And this, in relationship, in business, as business owners, entrepreneur, we face that every single day. And so having a tool set and ability to strengthen that muscle of like, okay, I can sit here, I can face this, I can handle this. I don't need to run away. I can relax into it and trust that it's going to lead to something better down the road. I might not see it right now, but I can not tap out right now, and I can stay long enough to see the blessing.
Yeah, while you're talking, I just had this visual of, okay, you're breathing in a cold plunge and then sitting with the discomfort, and then, as Edge Theory came to a close, it's like that was all just training for that experience. It's like, okay, just breathe through it. And before we started recording, I was mentioning to you, I read some of the book reviews, and there's this one that's like paragraphs long from an older gentleman that just talks about, he's not really much into spiritual things and la-di-da, but he knew you through Edge Theory, I guess, and just like absolutely put like 10 out of 10 stars on your character and the way that you wrote, and that, your story in the book shows the level of integrity you were able to sustain throughout that whole experience. And I'm sure, all of the ways that we handle everything has a little bit to do with our internal makeup, but it is also this training. And so I'm curious with, everything that you went through with Edge Theory, and also like what you're like this book and what you're building now. A lot of times in the moment, it will feel like, oh, this is a failure, but like, is Edge Theory a failure or breadcrumb? Like, where are you sitting with this process?
Yeah, beautiful question. Thanks for sharing that. It's, I could see it from both ways. So which way do I choose to see it from? Right. I could look at it, and I read about this in the book as well. And the irony was not lost on me, even going through, of just like, this is the most uncomfortable ice bath of all, having to deal with the wind down and losing millions of dollars and losing investor money and having to lay off our friends and our teammates and having to call up, we just struck a deal with the LA Rams as their official partner for a Cold Tub partner. And we have to back out of that deal because we're no longer able to support them. And, calling Dana White and UFC, sorry, this big deal we're working on together, we have to back, like all of these things, the customer, like, it was not lost on me how ironic it was throughout the time. Didn't make it easier, but like, it was like, this is too cheeky. Thank you, God. I see you. Like, and having the support around that to be able to sit in that and be like, all right, we're going to face these hard decisions. We're going to line them up, knock them down one step at a time. So I really did openly poured my heart out into these pages. And I think that is really resonating with people as well, which is beautiful to see that. But to answer your question of how do you see it as a failure or not, how do I take that as a breadcrumb? There was a moment where I was seeing it as a failure as it was kind of going down, because like, this is literally the definition of a failure. The business has failed, right? Like, we are out of money. We can no longer continue. We have to shut down, and that's it. Like, the business failed. And as I thought about, I felt the potential of Edge to be it had the potential to be this beautiful, a massive company that was helping a lot of people, that was bringing this healing, that had an amazing team, the mission, like it all felt right there. And I felt like it had that full potential, and it could go, and it could be the thing that took us there and allowed me to receive complete financial abundance and help a ton of people. Like, and we were close, like we did so much good along the way. But if I looked at it through that lens, it was like, well, this was a failure. We didn't get to the $1 billion exit like every entrepreneur that starts their company dreams of doing. Like, objectively, we didn't return money to the shareholders. Objectively, we failed. But what if that wasn't what Edge was here to do? What if Edge was here to be a teacher for me? And what if Edge was here to teach me the most amount and give me the full spectrum of a business experience within 3 years? What if Edge was here to be a business school for me? where I could learn everything, where I could make these amazing connections, where I could learn what it's like to build a team, see the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and go through the full spectrum in the shortest amount of time possible to set me up for what's next. Started looking at it that way, and I was like, dang, well then Edge is a damn success. Like, it's succeeded. So this is the power of our perception and our perspective, and how I can take that and how I can tell that story. We have the ability to tell our own story. It's up to us. No one else gets to dictate how we are. Whether we're a failure or not comes down to how we are authoring the story. That's why it was really important for me to author the story, because it's up to us. We get to choose. How cool is that? How empowering is that? It's not up to anybody else besides ourselves. That's our story. And so for me, it's a tremendous success in what it taught me, how it grew my capacity as a leader and as a business operator, and how it's informed me in what I'm now working on and building. I wouldn't have had it any other way, and I'm so grateful for the way that played out.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It's first of all, when you said, what if it's the business school for me? Like, I got full body chills, and I'm like, yes, that's true.
Thanks for the confirmation.
Yeah. And, people do similar things with like relationships. Like, if a relationship doesn't last forever, it's a failure. If a business doesn't last forever, it's a failure. But like, the energy of feeling like something failed is very closed and just like, oh, it's done. Period.
Yeah.
And when you feel more of this curiosity of, oh, what if it was preparing me for something? Now all of a sudden we're open, and the internal question is, well, what's it preparing me for?
Right.
Like, how exciting. It's preparing me for something. That was awesome. What's this next going to be?
Exactly.
And so I think that's like a really beautiful way to validate what you're saying about, like, yes, we get to choose our own story, and it's all about how you think of it, but it's also like not just how you think of it, but how you think of it changes the way that you engage with life from that point.
Absolutely.
And if you are perceiving anything that you've been through as failure and unsuccessful and then it really closes the door on what's next, versus like just acknowledging, honoring, grieving, and then like, wow, like, look at this wide open space.
Absolutely. And I think for us, as Edge is a teacher. It was an amazing teacher for me. It will be a teacher for me till the day I die, for sure. Just like every experience, if we allow it to, especially the ones that we have to grieve, or the ones that maybe didn't work out the way we want. Like, these are teachers for us. And for me, I'm a big fan and student of Michael Singer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Michael Singer, huge fan. And I love so much of what he says of like, we all want to be experienced human beings, but then when the experience comes, we don't want to go through the experience that makes us experience. Like, and to me, I really view, and it's easy for us as humans because we want to hang on to certainty because it means safety and survival. Yeah. Right. That's the way we're wired. We're not used to being able to like, okay. We're going to be alive. We're going to be alive. And it's easy for me to be like, okay, cool. This is the business that's going to take me into retirement and it's figured out and it's the stable and it's a constant. And I no longer view things like that. I view the experience. It's like we get to experience like more experience, more life. Like, I believe that that's why I chose to come here and incarnate into the 3D as a human being, was to like, you mean we get rainbows and butterflies and like the ocean and mermaids and fruit and friends and like, and the full spectrum of feeling like incredible, immense joy and orgasm and grieving death and loss and like, it's like, it's a wild playground we live on. And like, I came here knowing like, I want to taste it all. And like, I would rather have that full experience. And maybe that means there's more things that come in and out, or the full spectrum. It's like beautiful. There's divine qualities in all of those, and those pathways back to God with all of those full spectrum, not bad, not good, full experience. Bring it on. I'm here for it. And so there might be faster iterations. And I think people like us live that way, where it's like, there's faster things happening quickly because it's like, it's full experience and leading us to what we asked for ultimately.
Yeah. We all have a choice. One choice is to opt into that full spectrum playground and take everything that comes with it. The other choice, and I lived this way for 20, 25 years of my life, is opting out of that and just living in this gray, middle of the page place. And everybody has their own choice to make.
Absolutely.
Because you are going to get the dark, deep depths as well as the exuberant leaps over the rainbow. And what's that process been like for you to come into acceptance and almost like an eagerness to meet not only those peaks, but also those valleys?
It wouldn't be possible without the support system that I have and the the constant work that I'm doing on myself,
Mhm.
because it's hard. Like, it's hard, and it's easy here sitting on a podcast. We're in a good mood. It's a good day. And I'm on the other side of it. Got a book. Cool. You read my bio. I'm like, damn, that's a cool bio. All right, let's go. We're doing things right. But then, like, but the shit gets real, and like, and one of the things too in this rebuild phase, I have an amazing coach, mentor, therapist guy who I've worked with for 10 years at this point, and is a fixture of my life. My parents, I'm blessed to have a beautiful relationship with them where I can be able to get their feedback and advice on things. My siblings, some of my closest friends, like I'm so blessed with a beautiful support system that makes this possible. So I want to first start by saying that. And one of the things that I was that I recognize, especially as recently, is like, that's necessary in order to live that full spectrum. We're not built to do that on our own. We can't, I don't believe we can do that on our own, nor are we meant to order to taste the full spectrum. And happiness is only real when shared too. So like on the blessed side, the biggest side, like, sure, I can go sit on a mountaintop and reach nirvana, but like, it's not going to be as good as the moment that I have laughing until I pee my pants with my nephew. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I believe. And I know for a fact that having those people around to support and to share in the ups and the downs, like, we're designed that way as humans also. So that comes through right now as you ask that question. And so opting into that has been very important. And like, I'll give you guys a real example of like, as I've been in this kind of rebuild mode, right? So Ed shut down a year and a half ago or so. And, the rebuild's been tough. It's been a process. And thank God, I feel like I'm on a good trajectory now, and I always knew that I would be okay. But like, when it shut down, like, I lost everything, everything that I built up, and I can look at it that way, right? Like, I did lose everything financially, all the money I'd invested into the business, and like, I was like, all right, I'm back at square one. Thankfully, I had an amazing opportunity to go live with my parents and put a mattress on the floor of my brother's room and shack up with him and have a fun camp sleepover. And but more so recently, I moved back up to Santa Monica as I kind of got myself back on my feet and started taking on some consulting clients and started to build a new business now, which is beautiful. But I started having this moment of like comparing myself in a way to other people, or like, shit, it feels like I should be further along. Like, I'm scraping now to get back to a baseline level that I was at when I was, I'm 31 now, that I was at when I was 24 years old. It's like, I'm trying to get back up to the income level I was when I was 23, 24 years old. Like, I feel like I'm behind. Like, what am I doing? Like, did I make it right? And it's like, as strong as my mindset is, as much as I have faith, as much as I practice this stuff or write this book, it's like, it's a real thing. I'm there and I'm like, I'm in a lull. I'm like, shit, like, here I am again, like, trying to get back up to baseline. And so I say that to keep it real, because I always like to keep it real, and to share that, like, I was able to share that with my coach on the other line, who was able to like receive that and to be able to help me work through that perspective and recognize where I'm so much further ahead in other metrics that will translate to income and the relationships and the other opportunities in my own capacity, where I'm like, you're right, thank you, I feel that now, and that's shifted, and I was able to shift that in real time. So it's constant work. It's constant work. And there's a lot of times, I'm sure you get it, it's just like, I wish sometimes it's like, okay, sometimes I wish I could take that thin band of like blah, and like, because it can be exhausting and it can be a lot to ride the full spectrum of it all. But I would not trade it. I would not trade it, because we made that decision a long time ago.
Yeah, I think we talk about support a lot on our podcast, and what I'm hearing is that you are blessed with like an ecosystem that's close, that you were born into, which is beautiful. And not everyone has that. And also some people are rebuilding it, but your coach wasn't born into your life, and so there are ways that, when we are really contracted or in a shadowy space or whatever, and someone's going through, it often feels like there's no support, even when we do have good
people
relationships.
Around us,
Yeah. And it really is like, if you could reach out to someone, who would it be? And if you can't reach out to anyone, like, find someone, pay someone.
Yeah, totally.
Pay someone to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And as you start to feel like yourself again, that support comes back online. It's the same thing we were saying with like breath and beauty versus like to-do lists and stress. Support doesn't really feel present when we're spinning so quickly, or when everything feels like it's crashing. And also, there is always support. It's like a really beautiful thing about the human experience that mirrors our connection with spirit, is when we're feeling down, it certainly feels like spirit's not there, except that's never true.
Absolutely.
And when we're feeling down, it really feels like there's no connections that we can reach out to, and that's also not true.
Yep.
And so I just want to share that for any like people
That's
listening
beautiful.
that like don't necessarily default to their family, because like I don't really default to my family either. And also over time I feel more comfortable doing so.
Yeah.
And yet like I feel like that was my own stuff. Like there's never a time that I would have called my parents where they wouldn't have been there for me.
Sure.
And yet it felt like it,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
And then also I wanted to share this thing about money that I went through a process also where like my savings just were like gone, and I'm rebuilding. And I talked to some people about this since, where it's like, just like our relationships sometimes purge in the contracture, or our business sometimes gets eliminated in the contracture, it's like all this money that we make in a certain frequency or a certain iteration of ourselves, like doesn't always get to come through the door. And
I like that.
it doesn't mean that it's not coming back. It's just like that money was holding the frequency of who you were, and your system like outgrew it like a snakeskin. It just like needs other
Love that.
support.
That's a great perspective. Thanks for sharing that. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
That lands for sure. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And on that note of the support and challenge, something that I've learned from my coach, and he kind of helps me reframe everything like this to collapse any emotional charges, is like there's two sides to every coin, right? And so there's always equal amounts support and challenge in any situation. So you can look at whatever challenge you're going through, and when you can see, okay, this real challenge, it's like, this is really challenging. It's like, okay, at that same moment where you were super challenged by that, where was there also support? We're like, okay, well, this person was there. Now, does that feel equal? No, the challenge still feels more. Okay, what about support from this? What about your dog that was sitting there at your lap? Now, does that add an energetic level of support? Yeah, that does add a lot more. Okay, now what about the roof over your head? Does that feel like it adds support? Yeah, and you start to kind of pile on, right? Or like this person, oh, you're right, I forgot that person. And then in your mind, our perception starts to balance the two out. And it's like, okay, you start to see it now as the full picture versus being like emotionally charged one way or the other. And we do this a lot too with like some of the things that I'm like, I'm super stoked about this. Like, I'm going to burst the bubble. Here we go. Like, to ground it out, because when we can see things from the fullness of what it actually is, then we can dissolve any of the emotional charges around it. So yeah.
Yeah. And it comes back to that skill of noticing, even when it's dark and the lights are off. Can I adjust my eyes or get a flashlight or something to look around and be like, oh, there's my dog on my lap?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And you were sharing earlier, a challenge that I faced in my life too is measuring myself solely on money, which is such a convenient and simple metric to measure ourselves. We need it to live. And also, as I moved through my own process, I've realized how absurd it is to place money as the number one thing to measure myself.
If you've been looking for community and guidance that will change your life for good, we have something for you. We're pausing this conversation to introduce something to you that we're so excited about, our upcoming course, Reclamation.
Reclamation isn't just another 3-month course where you change during the course of the container and then go back to your old ways afterwards. It's not playing whack-a-mole with individual habits and vices and toxic relationship patterns. It is the solution to finding the root of it all so that you can wipe all of it off the table. And it's without white knuckling or discipline or willpower. The only issue that you have is life force mastery, and this is the solution.
So no matter where you are on your journey, whether you're just beginning and feel completely immersed in gray clouds of your own mess, or you've been on this path for a while and are just looking to fine-tune your devotion to your journey, whether you identify as a man or a woman, we want all of you in this community with us so that we can all rise together.
To learn more and register, click the link in the description, and we'll see you when we start. What helps you diversify the ways that you edify your self-image?
There's a line that's coming through right now that a friend shared with me. How can I edify my self-image by knowing that I'm created in the image of God and source and oneness and connection with everyone else? So that comes through. Easier said than done. But I also think about it, energy and money, very much like you too, which is it's energy. It's just energetic. And also a big fan of Abraham Hicks and the idea that like, energy is not created or destroyed. It's only transferred. And so for me, I look at like, where is all the energy, the love, the abundance in my life? Like, and it's everywhere. It's so present everywhere. And like, okay, cool. Like that is all present. It's all energy. Like money is energy the same way that relationship is energy, love is energy, being able to live here with sunshine is energy and brings value to my life. So I look at it as more, I guess, less as of a locked category of like money and more of just like overall abundance, because they change forms, right? And like I know for a fact right now that I have certain relationships in my life that like will absolutely translate one day down the road towards a lot of money. Based on the way that we'll keep building and growing, and like whenever the time is right for something to happen, like there are beautiful relationships I have in my life that like will translate and create financial abundance as well. And like I don't need that now. It's like it's in vibrational escrow. It's like it's all there. It's all like waiting to come through. So I feel that sense of like that placeholder for that value.
Yeah, I think that it makes it easier to hold some of these life's challenges and also the stories that come through as we have a better understanding of like who we are. Like, yes, that we are of spirit and we are spirit, obviously. And so is everything else around us. And also like this aspect of self-trust too. It's like, if I think that I'm sometimes kind or sometimes people like me or sometimes I'm generous, there's not really much ground to stand on, you know? But if I know that I'm living a life of service and I know that I'm in integrity and I know that I try to like care for people as best I can and keep the energy of love moving throughout the whole ecosystem, then when those stories come through or when there is a challenge, you know, it's not as easy to let the foundation waver or to get carried away by the negative thoughts that we all sometimes have, you know, because there's a foundation or like a solid like tree trunk in us that's like, okay, I'm feeling this right now, but what I know to be true about myself is I express in these ways, you know.
And that's fully up to us to build, which is the exciting part, is that like we have that self-responsibility to build that. That's completely up to us.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're responsible for our own being, our own essence. Yeah. I'm curious what feels like it's moving right now and what spirit is teaching you. Like if there's something specific that's feeling challenging or internal or on the precipice of a wisdom key.
There's a few different things from a personal standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a relationship standpoint, right? Pick all the categories. There you go. There's some challenges that some of my very close family and loved ones are facing right now that I just learned of this last couple days. And it was a very interesting process to hear and to like, you know, to see people that you love that are struggling and like with real stuff, like life or death stuff, you know, like real stuff. And it's a lot, right? And it can be a lot. And one of the things that I observed as I was kind of hearing this and noticing this is how, to your point as well, like, how, I don't know what the right word is, but like how proud I was of myself with how I was able to hold that and to handle that and how I could show up for that person and be so present for that person without it kind of derailing me necessarily. Does that make sense? Because I know I'm talking very vague terms right now, but like that's something that feels really, really good. And so the insight I feel like that's coming through within that experience and that was present as I'm hearing this from a few different, and it's like, it's happening with close family members, with close friends as well, and two close friends all at the same time right now. It's like real heavy things are happening in their life. And I'm kind of now at like the intersection of that of like, whoa, okay, like I'm here. How can I support? Is this deep down knowing of like, and belief that this, like we all are here on our own soul journey and curriculum that we are here to learn. And it's very difficult, especially when it's someone like your mother or your father or your sister or your brother or your best friend, to like keep that in context and remember that. But one of the, I think the wisdom pieces that's coming through for me is that like they are on their own journey. And it's taken me a lot to be able to actually feel that and embody that. And through that, I feel like I can show up so much better for whatever they're going through without myself getting derailed or thrown down the route. Does that make sense? Is that making sense?
Yeah, okay. For sure. I went through what I'm thinking is maybe kind of a similar process at some point over the past 6 months, year. And it was this real understanding of like, I use the word karma, but like everyone's karma or everyone's path is their path. And like the only thing that me trying to solve someone else's challenge does is removes the opportunity for them to actually evolve, and also takes energy away from my own path.
Mhm.
So like where our paths intersect so that we can support is good. And we want to do that.
Yep.
And also, being rooted enough in who we are and what our breadcrumbs are and what it feels like in our body to be following a yes, so that we don't get confused about like what's our path and what's someone else's
Absolutely.
path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that precisely, and that's something that I've noticed that life is teaching me right now, and reminding me of, and some of the lessons that are coming through. It's like there's always something.
Yeah.
And if there wasn't, we'd be moved on to the next realm. Right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
like cool. Check the box, we moved on. So hopefully there's many, many, many more things, because there's a lot of this playground and a lot of life experience that I still am looking forward to.
And it's a fine line too. I read once that one of the greatest acts of love is letting people suffer their own suffering, letting people face their own challenges.
Mhm.
And so there's a fine line between that
Yeah.
and actually like being there and supporting. And I think that, like we've been talking skills, it's a skill that continues to get honed over the course of our life. And that's one that we don't ever get right every single time.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think too, what I've learned over time is one of the challenging parts of when this lesson comes through is a lot of times if you're learning this lesson, you're the only person in the room who gets it.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are you learning the lesson, but also there's a bit of pushback from other people who are going through their own process, know?
Yeah.
And that's how the sword gets strengthened a bit.
Yeah.
It's like, not only am I discerning how to stay on my own path versus not getting confused for other people's paths, but part of that is being willing to say no or take distance, even if the other person doesn't understand, because only in them sitting with that is that going to, forge them the way that they're meant to be forged. And
Totally agree.
that is a huge challenge as a part of that
This
process.
shit's hard. Then there's no, like you said, it's like there's no science. It's not a science either, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's not just like, oh, you follow this, do this,
Right.
And it's not easy. That's part of it. It's part of it.
Yeah, I read a really great post from a coach, and it was like, this is a list of coaching advice that I've given across the years. And it was like, feel your feelings. Don't feel your feelings.
Yeah.
Be there to support others. Don't sacrifice yourself. Right. So it's like very situational, and the conditions are always shifting. And coming back to your initial point of noticing, how can we be so grounded and present that we can notice a breadcrumb that says, okay, I've overextended myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean back here.
Yeah.
Or a breadcrumb of I actually get to be more here.
Yes.
This person.
Yes. Agree. Have you read the book, The Dichotomy of Leadership?
Mm.
Jocko Willink. Do you know Jocko?
Yeah, I know Jocko.
A great book. Highly recommend it. I mean, there's your book number 2.
Yeah.
And it talks about like the whole dichotomy of leadership, around how like the same principle one principle can be true and like the opposite of that can be true. So like, I think was it extreme accountability or 100% extreme ownership. Yeah. So he co-wrote that first book, Extreme Ownership. And then this was the book that followed up that, because it was just like, well, can you take too much ownership sometimes, right? So like, where's there a line? There's a dichotomy here. And then he explored all these other, 10 principles or whatever of like, here's how like this can be true and when it can be a good thing and also when it can be not good thing. So it's a dichotomy and it's a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that ability to tolerate paradox is spiritual maturity to me. And the ability, whenever I have an internal process, it's usually some type of false conflict that's living within me that actually both can be true.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a bar. I like that line. Yeah, this is some spiritual maturity for sure.
That's an original.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And we often also say like the medicine you need is the medicine you never take. So
for sure.
If you're used to overgiving, then actually it's a no. But if you're used to saying no, then it's time to give a little more. And it's like a forever swinging, more sensitive pendulum. It's not, we can't really actually find the center point. The more zoomed in on something you get, the more you see.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one. That's so true.
Forever learning the back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. Constantly back and forth.
I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about, I guess it's not that big of a gear shift. I want to talk about leadership. You just mentioned it.
Perfect.
Is that sometimes there's this romantic idea of leadership that it's all glory and medals and all of this, but you had an experience where you were leading a team, leading a business. You had people enrolled in your vision of where you were going. And then you reached an inflection point where you had to tell everybody, hey, the vision that I've enrolled you in is not happening. And you had to land the plane as compassionately as possible. So what was that process like? What did you learn in that process?
So much that I wrote a book about it. And it was an initiation for sure. And it is leadership. Like, leadership is how you show up in the most challenging times. It's what gets revealed for sure. No doubt about that in my mind. And so what a beautiful experience and opportunity I had to become a leader and to show up and define myself. And I think it really matters what your guiding principles are as a leader, especially when shit hits the fan or when you do need to land the plane or things don't go the way that you expect. So it comes down to guiding principles. Thank God, my cousin, my co-founder of Edge, I wasn't flying the ship alone. I had a co-pilot sitting right next to me, going through the ups and downs with me, which was essential. I couldn't imagine doing it on my own. And, we decided very quickly because there was kind of two phases to the shutdown, which was tough. The first phase was like, we're not doing so well. Like, business is like, we're kind of going like this, but our expenses are kind of still like this, even though we're cutting, so much learnings. But it was like, can we save this? The limbo of like, things are not looking good. We're hemorrhaging cash every month, but like, there's so many good things on the horizon. It's like right there. That was almost the hardest time to operate because we're in the split energy. And it's like every day it's like but this amazing deal with Whoop that we're now going to strike, and this, it's going to lead to these many more sales or this or that. Like, this, we're going on Shark Tank, like the exposure from that could, like, gotta hold on. It's like there's like so much good, and then there's the like looking at the cash of just like, shit, like now we have this manufacturing challenge that was going to cost us $300,000 to fix, like shit. Or now like we're our secured creditor like changed the ceiling for our debt that we can pull down, so like now we got to figure out another source of debt, or we got to go to different creditors. So it's like, it was like, I like to say, it is not for the faint of heart or the weak of stomach. And especially during that time period when it was like, are we going to make it? Are we not? That split energy was very tough and tough to lead because we're still wanting to like, we still believe we can save it and know we need to do everything we can. Right. Yeah. So that was difficult. But then when it finally came down to like, enough of the dominoes falling, and then ultimately us not getting the deal on Shark Tank for that last bit of capital that we needed, it was like, okay, there's no other choice here. And we got together with our board, and I read all about this and having our conversation with our board of directors, and we were able to unanimously vote that like orderly liquidation and shutdown was the move. And at that point was really tough, but also a bit of relief because it was just like, all right, now we know where we're going, and it's going to absolutely suck, but there's a direction we're going, and this is going to end. And at that point, it became around how are we leading throughout that whole period for sure, but how do we want to lead through this? And Rob, my cousin, and I, we sat down and we decided, here's what's important to us. Number one, our team. Being as open and transparent with them, making sure that they are in the best position as possible for our team. Number two, our investors. If there's any possibility we can return any investor money back and be as open and honest with our investors as possible, our investors, right? Number three, our customers, not leaving them high and dry, making sure we're doing what's right by our customers, because there was a way, and we got tested with this because we could have easily taken a side street shortcut that would have screwed our customers but saved our asses and some of our investor asses, right? Like, there was a way that we could have done it, but it would not have been in integrity with ourselves and what we decided. And then like down at the bottom of the list was like us, like we are willing to take the burden because we were liable for up to, what would have been a couple $100,000 each of personal liability debt that would follow us with it. One of the things I learned too is shutting down a business is expensive. You got to deal with legal and paperwork and all the things that come down with actually shutting down a business when it's like, yeah, we don't have money. That's the point. Like, we have to shut down. So much. But to kind of wrap it up here, your guiding principles and what's important to you is so essential around leadership. And that's one of the things I learned because it became very easy to navigate. Like, okay, how do we want to navigate this knowing that like, this is where we're going? So like we had some inventory left to sell, and we could have sold it all at like full price or a bit of a discount and made the money we needed to like cover all of our asses, but we knew that wouldn't be fair to our customers. It would have been misleading. So we sold it at a heavy discount and sold it as an inventory, blowout sale, going out of business sale, so that they at least knew they were buying it. But it was a jeopardy because it was like, well, if they don't buy it now, we're stuck with this inventory because they know we're going out of business. Now we shot ourselves in the foot. So it was like, what do we do here? But because we understood what our integrity was, we were able to execute on that. And thank God it worked out. 9 out of 10 times, every conversation we had to have, every tough conversation, everything, 9 out of 10 times worked out as good as it could have, which is a blessing.
The understanding of, what's important to you.
Yeah.
And who you are, like we were talking about earlier, is such an important anchor, because this process of like challenging and sharpening us into, the sculpture we're meant to be, it's not for the faint of heart. And if you are not certain or intentional with your actions, then that's when like regret or resentment or all of these things cycle through. And it's like, if you move slowly enough and you move from this space of like what's done with love and also what's done with integrity, and not that there's like a right answer across the board, but right for you, if I'm certain that this feels good in my body, then at least if it doesn't work out, at least in that 1 out of 10 conversation where it didn't go as well as possible, you can know like, okay, but I did everything that I could.
Yes. And for that reason, like, thank God, 1, my cousin and I, our relationship got stronger through that. And 2, like, I could sleep at night. An honest man pillow is his peace of mind. What is it? An honest man's pillow is his peace of mind. Like, and I felt like we did everything that we could, and we did everything right and by our book and by our standard, and lived in integrity. And there's no regrets that we had with that whatsoever. But the other thing I learned about leadership in that phase was we took a radical transparency approach with our team, especially our executive team, throughout that process, where like we weren't sugarcoating. Like, they understood that we were going through challenges, and they understood, like, everyone was very well aware, and we got more buy-in from our team as a result of that. And we trusted them, and we were radically transparent with things that were going on. And like, even when we had to the point where like, when we had to go cut our our videographer on staff and our Facebook our ad team, we had built such good relationships with them, and the way that we showed up during the good times as well, and the way we were honest with them, that they stayed on and worked for free for us to help us wind down. That doesn't happen, So there was this boomerang effect that happened with the way that we showed up and the way that we lead with integrity, with honesty, with this sucks. This is the reality of the situation. Like, this is what we're doing about it. Like, showing up in that way in integrity came back tenfold. And it was like such a great lesson for me to learn that like leading with radical honesty and transparency and genuinely caring about people is the right thing to do. We know that, but then to see how like that's also ended up being the right business decision to take when it might be counterintuitive in the moment. I know that for a fact now, and I will always lead that way. And I will always tell everybody to lead that way. Yeah,
that's so beautiful. And you're seeing some of the fruits of your labor in those moments of the way that it's coming back to you, but also, in a household, the parents acting in integrity and being honest and being loving all the time, not just telling their kids to, is actually how children learn. And it's like, to have that as the embodiment at the top of a team, you'll never really know the impact that had on everyone that was working with you. But to be in a container, which is what any business is, to be in the container of Edge Theory and be working, and to see a person at the top be dealing with something with such care and clarity, really creates a blueprint in the system of like, oh, I can also function this way.
You're right.
And also, I don't want to work for anyone that doesn't function this way.
For sure.
And so that's a really beautiful piece of the story of like, we never really get to know all of the ripples that we make.
You're right.
But that's guaranteed too.
Yeah. And it's funny. I started laughing as you're saying that because like I have a memory of when we had to lay off one of our key team members because it was like, hey, we're not going to make it through, it looks like. And it was like one of the kind of last few rounds of layoffs. Like his first response was like, he started crying. His first response was like, I'm so sorry for you guys. Like, oh my goodness, this must be so hard for you. Like, he wasn't even worried about himself or his job. He was just like, oh my God, like, and we're like, this is why we love you and why we hired you, of course, in the first place. Like, but these were some of the responses that we get from people.
Yeah. I'm really interested in this line between we could make it, we might not make it, and this decision that we're actually not going to make it. Something that we teach often is urgent transparency. Like as soon as you know something to be true, and as soon as you know it within that it's time for it to be shared, it gets to be shared. We were talking about paradox earlier. There's this Stockdale paradox. It's named after a guy named Jim Stockdale. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam or World War II. He made it through. He was a prisoner of war for like 6 years, and they asked him afterwards, "How did you know? Like who didn't make it out?" And he's like, "The optimists didn't make it out. Christmas would come, and they would think they were getting out on Christmas, and then Thanksgiving would come, they would think they were getting out, and it just broke them down over time." And so the Stockdale paradox is the ability to hold two things. One, the faith, the belief that you will prevail in the end, and the most brutal and gritty facts of the situation. So I imagine there's a time
Yeah.
period where you're like, I think we might make it. And then that kind of declined over time. And then like, how did you know it was time to break the news?
So totally, it is a roller coaster. Every day was a roller coaster, I will say, especially in that period. And also to put in context, like I love that that story, and it also was an important thing to remind myself, which I'm just doing often, that like, thank God this isn't life or death, even though it can feel that way, and and there is high stakes. It's not like nothing. Of course, it's high stakes. Like it's not life or death, and I'm not talking about like trying to survive and make it to Christmas to stay alive and get out of a prisoner of war, right? You know what I mean? So thank God that it wasn't those stakes, but that nuance is so real, and it came down to the financials at the end of the day, the numbers, because we were going to ride it as long as we possibly could to give ourselves the chance, but it was like our cash position was just based on, it's like we're not going to be able to make payroll next month.
Okay.
And we navigated that once before where we like maxed out our debt to be able to do that. Like we'd stop paying ourselves, of course, like we had cut here or there, freed up the cash, delayed the other payments so we could keep making payroll and like keep the lights on. And then we would be able to get the cash we needed to make the next payroll cycle. So it's like, it's a roller coaster, right? It's like, but as long as we can play, and especially in the startup space, it's like cash is king and time is like your friend. Like the longer runway you can give yourself and just like kick it to the next cycle, kick it to the next month, because there's these inflection points that happen where all of a sudden you turn the corner, or like then that deal comes through, or like momentum builds, or the work you've been working on starts to pay off, and then you can start to turn the corner. And so for us, like, and it was a really unique thing, and just to paint the brief picture is like, we started off and we went like 0 to, $2 million, like that right away, like big jump right away, where it's like, we're freaking geniuses. This is working. Amazing. Look at us. We're making money. Cool. Like, let's go. Let's hire. Let's build our team. Great. Things are still growing. We can't keep up with the demand is so high. We can't keep up. We're making more. We're selling more. We're getting all these deals, everything. Like we're the belle of the ball. We're the cool new kids on the block, the cold tub. Like it was like amazing. And there was this false sense of confidence, I think, that instilled in both of us, because it was like we grew so quickly, almost too quickly, that like a lot of things we were like putting band-aids on what needed deeper repair from a business infrastructure standpoint. And we're just like slapping band-aids and slapping duct tape on, because we're like, we got to keep on. The rocket ship's going. Like we can't stop. Like we have to try to keep up. So like, let's do our best. And we did. And that was fine and worked until like the rocket ship started slowing down. Right. And we knew it was going to eventually. It just happened way sooner than we thought. We thought we had another year, like another season essentially, but it started happening that season. And it was like, oh, this is happening fast. And like, we have to adapt quickly. And even as quickly as we thought we were adapting, another thing I learned in business is that it takes 3 to 6 months to actually see cost savings from anything you're doing. Great. You want to cut headcount because that's some of the biggest expenses you can cut. Like, great. You want to cut headcount. Amazing. You're going to have to give your teammate a notice, right? And ideally some severance. So like, it's going to be 2 months before you actually see that savings, 3 months before you really feel the savings. So like, things take time. And so that was a good lesson I learned there too. But ultimately came down at the end was constantly looking at the different scenarios of like, all right, here's where our cash position is. Here's our sales forecast, because if where sales are, here's where our inventory is. Here's where our debt is, where we've pulled down the max debt we can pull down. There's not really much else we can do besides our last swing for the fences that based on the timing was going on Shark Tank. And we're like, if we can get a deal on Shark Tank, then so we knew walking in, I write about it too. It's like, we knew walking in, like if we get a deal, we live to fight another day. If we don't, this is probably the end. And so, and we didn't, we walked out of the tank and it was like, well, it was a pretty epic way to go out. Like we left it all out there. That's for damn sure. But it came down to like, all right, there's no deal there. And so, we tried for merger and acquisition to merge with another company because we had some good stuff going. And that was a roller coaster in of itself, because it was like we had a couple great conversations like, oh my God, this could be it. And maybe we actually can sell and make a return on this. And this could be the greatest thing ever. Or like we can merge and we can at least have our employees continue on and the brand continues on, right? Like great. But it was like amazing, we're gonna do the deal, and then no, that person backed out, and then another person showed interest, and then that backed out. So like this is all going on in the background. So brother, every day was a roller coaster in the sense of like, we're gonna make it, we're gonna do it, to there's a gut punch. It's a kick in the nuts right there. Oh, every single day was like an exhilarating roller coaster, and ultimately it came down to the math ain't mathin', and this is about to explode, because if we can't make payroll and we can't pay to keep the lights on in our building, then like the wheels fall off very, very fast. And so thankfully, like right at the last moment before then is when we were able to meet with our board and have them have the foresight to be like, yeah, the wheels are about to fall off. Like now's the time to do an orderly liquidation while you still have a little bit to be able to wind this down properly and not have the wheels fall off, because that's happened before, and that happens often in business. If you wait too long, then the wheels fall off, and then it's a plane crash. We were able to, I would say, you said land the plane. We were able to land the plane. The landing gear was stuck, and the wheels were like halfway down, and we landed like on a dirt runway, and there was like definitely a impact and skidded a little bit, but everyone was fine and safe, and like the plane landed. It wasn't a pretty landing. It wasn't on a runway. It wasn't a pretty landing, but it wasn't a crash landing where the fuselage splits in half, right? So that was the landing we had.
Yeah. So in the new projects that are coming, is there a sense of like desiring to move a little bit slower, or is there other ways that you have learned to kind of like check things a little differently versus Band-Aids?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say that, and also business models. The way I look at business models
is different.
Very, very, very different. Very different. And the type of businesses that I want to run, and also how I want to structure those types of businesses as well. So all of those things right out the gate are like being put into play right out the gate that are very different than like, you know, we had like a potential investor shoot us down at Edge when we were like, it was like an amazing time and we were raising a bunch of money. And he said something that like really stung us, that we were like, screw this guy. Like, we're going to show him. And he was just like, I think that cold plunges are having an ordinary moment and an otherwise ordinary, boring business. And I was like, okay, screw you. But also like interesting when we received that, it's just like, it's a high ticket, high touch hardware product. You're selling a spa, a hot tub. Like it's a boring business. And it's like, it's not a great business model that I like, because and I see it, it's a lot of money to acquire a customer, and they're a one-time purchase really. And then you have to have a lot of money to support them customer service. So you put all this time, money in building a brand, but the person buys once, maybe twice in 5 years when you release a new model. But it's like, it's all this for one thing. There's nothing recurring about that. So every month we're starting June 1st, we got to cover our, $800,000 to just like meet our base payroll every single month. It's like our base expenses. So it's like every month, like we got to hit a high bar just to break even. And that's a big stress that lays on us. There's nothing recurring around that. So I knew right away, I was just like, I need to get into something that's recurring at least. And also that's like higher ticket in a way. And also that can be more scalable with less infrastructure and less physical components of moving and delivery. And so that is a baseline.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So talk to us about what the project
that
you're excited
absolutely about. So I've started a new business called ARC Partners with two of my absolute best friends who we complement each other in the most amazing ways that makes this great. And also I learned a lot about like what it takes to have good partners in business, and like when to partner with someone in business and when not, and how to partner with someone in business, especially if you're friends. And so all that has been put to play already, which is amazing. So after Edge, I started doing some consulting work, thankfully, because of the experience that I had in that. And then also doing coaching and consulting before Edge. I built a lot of great experience to be able to work with founders and help them both on the business side and the personal development side, because they're so intricately connected. So I was doing some consulting, started working with an amazing guy who runs a private equity firm up in LA. And I naturally got really deep into AI as it's been making leaps and bounds, especially in the last 6 to 8 months. And so I went deep down the rabbit hole because I'm like using this now for the couple clients I'm working with. And I'm just seeing like, oh my God, all these use cases and the things I'm doing for them. And like, this is insane. This is incredible. And just by like building some of these tools, my friends, he was doing the same kind of thing with his clients. And we started like working together, building some kind of unique software, some unique tools that we're using now. And like, oh, this stuff's really, really valuable. And then it was like, we had a few other people being like, oh, can you put that in my business? I'll pay you. Sure, for sure. Okay, great. Can you help me with that? Sure, great, no problem. And all of a sudden we look up and we're like, oh, we kind of low-key accidentally started an agency. And so that's what we're doing at Arc Partners, is really helping businesses with AI. And everybody and their mother's doing that right now too, of course. But with our operator experience in business, we're able to help them build the infrastructure that's going to allow them to successfully grow and to supercharge their employees. Because the way I kind of see it right now is that like every business is like a house. It's a building, right? The foundation of that building and the way that that building is built is changing entirely right before our eyes. And it's like we're going from mud huts to like stucco walls and fiberglass and like infrastructure is what's happening right now. And every business is going to need to make those shifts and going to want to, like you get to, but it's a hard thing to do. And like, you're going to hire a general contractor to do it, but you want to hire someone you trust and someone that you know has done this as well in other people's businesses. So that's what we're doing now with our thing at Arc Partners. We're working within the private equity firm and helping them make some shifts, building some custom tools for them, migrating them, working with a lot of coaches, solo service providers, helping them with a lot of agentic AI stuff. So a lot of, AI type of employees. I think AI is one of the most spiritual, amazing, incredible things happening. And I'm very, very optimistic about it, which I can tell you about later. But that's what we're working on now, which is very energizing and checks the boxes on a lot of things from a helping people standpoint, from what I enjoy doing, what I'm good at doing, what I believe they actually need to, and what I believe can be highly profitable. So that's the new venture in the new direction.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you gathered a few breadcrumbs together.
That's right.
And just started working out what was fun and interesting and exciting. Look what.
That's right. That's my MO. It's my operating system for sure.
Awesome. We always end these conversations with two questions. One is because we want these conversations to not just live and die within the hour that people are talking. We want this to be a free resource that if people do these homework assignments that I'm going to ask you for, their lives can actually change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to assign a piece of homework to the listeners,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be?
It would be to start to practice and to develop that muscle of self-reflection and noticing. And more specifically, more concretely, like that's the subject, the actual exercise is going to be tonight or tomorrow morning, open up a journal or a page or your voice note or whatever, and write down, what are you grateful for? And what is life trying to teach you? Or what did yesterday or today, what was life, God, source, spirit trying to show me? Or what message was I receiving? Or what miracle showed up? And develop that gratitude. What are you grateful for? You look for things to be grateful for. They're there. You're going to live a more abundant, grateful life. And that frequency is the most powerful frequency of all. And what is life trying to teach me? Like, what is the breadcrumbs that are here for me? What is God trying to show me? What is the miracle that's happening in front of me? Do that today. Do that for a week. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take more than a week before you start to actually look for those things and start to see them and you get programmed. So that would be my homework assignment for people.
Beautiful. And you do this actually with one of our friends, and I've done it before too, but for things like this, I find doing them like with someone
love that.
is connecting and also keeps you accountable and also has you like feel it a little more. Sometimes when people do gratitude practices on their own, they like say the same thing every day.
Yeah.
But like, you can write it in a journal, which is really powerful because actually writing is helpful.
Yeah.
And also if there's anyone else that you can do it with, to share that and build your bond, but also, create an ecosystem where now I'm not the only one practicing gratitude, but my community is practicing.
I love that. So, okay, scratch the first homework assignment I said. We're going to revise the homework assignment before we send it out. It's not too late. I'm going to say the same thing, but find someone in your life who you love, you care about, who's on this kind of wavelength, who's on the same page, and opt in to be an accountability buddy with them.
Yeah.
Get a group chat or a WhatsApp channel. If you talk on text every day, maybe use WhatsApp, do a different channel, make it just about that and do it for a week together. Every day. Send the message. What are you grateful for? What did you notice today? What is God showing you? And do that for a week with a friend, back and forth.
Beautiful.
Boom.
And then we also ask, part of the mission is to have men's voices who are showing up with this integrity and intention be broadcast so that the narrative of good men is like far
I love that.
away. It's
I
just
know we need
really
to have a whole conversation about that too.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about masculinity at all.
Yeah.
There's so much. And
maybe
I'm so,
for your podcast.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Let's do that. I would love that. Let's do
Cool.
that. Yeah, that's a great idea because I was like I would love to pick your brain about that and all that you guys know about that. So
Yeah, that'd be
we'll do that for
amazing.
sure. But so go ahead. Sorry.
So allowing those voices to be heard, because a lot of times the men's voices that are loudest are not necessarily the ones that we want to look to. So for our listeners to, deep dive somewhere else, and potentially for us to also have on the podcast, who else can we look to?
Yeah, good one. Well, I definitely have a few people for you guys. Are you guys just recording in person? Are you doing virtual too, or just in person? Both. Okay, great. So for sure, I've got quite some guys for you to talk to. You're definitely going to talk with Chad, my best friend, who's my head of sales. He's a big character in this book. After you read this, he wrote the foreword too.
Cool.
After you read the book, you're going to be like, we got to talk with Chad. He's a next level energy.
Amazing.
And so you'll talk with Chad. My brother, John Mixes, who lives out in Boston area, built an amazing business for himself. Global traveler, one of the original travel bloggers way back when, and is one of the smartest guys I know, period, and most embodied masculine man. He's married, amazing guy. There's a few others. Those two come right up to my mind. And then let me think about which ones. It's a great question of because I totally agree. The voices, especially that we see on social media, or the ones that are amplified, are not often the ones that we want to look up to the most. So let me think about who are some of those guys, some of those men that I follow that I'm I actually respect and admire in the way that this man shows up. So I would think about one of who I became friends with, and you'll see in the book as well, Mike Posner, who was the singer-songwriter who's been on his journey.
Cool.
Amazing guy. And I think he's one that I've looked up to for a while, and knowing him personally, and can fully attest that it's all real too.
Yeah.
So he's a great follow in that regard. But
Beautiful.
yeah, I'm curious who you guys follow as well in that space that you think are ones worth looking up to.
Yeah. Well, we're meeting many more of them.
Great.
Yeah.
Now that we're doing this podcast, which is one of the greatest personal benefits for us. But it's you mentioned Jocko.
Yeah.
Jocko is a very masculine man, but also very grounded and understands the place of vulnerability and transparency in leadership positions. So I've read some of his stuff. Chris Marhefka is a guest that we really liked a lot. We loved that conversation. Yeah, I would just say to the listeners, just scroll through the podcast.
Yeah, great. Yeah, your page is going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, and I love what you guys are doing too, because when I think about it, some of the best, most embodied men that I know that I look up to, they're not posting on social media.
I know,
They're not
totally.
they're not active on there, which we need to be, and we need to get them. So I can see and appreciate the mission you guys are on to amplify their voices. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh. I'm excited to
get
into the book, Cosmic Breadcrumbs, and we'll put this in the show notes. We'll put the Amazon link in there. And anything else you want us to put in the show notes? But any other plugs you want to make before we sign off?
The Audible, it's available on Audible. I did record the audiobook, so it's my voice, which is a treat and is great to listen to as well if you like audiobooks. And then, I have my social media, just my Instagram is where I'm active on. And then if anybody is curious about this AI world, or overwhelmed, or ooh, what do I do? Where do I start? Or has very negative, pessimistic view, reach out and let's talk, because I will share some things with you that I think might very much help and can help people understand.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
thanks,
Thank you.